now. It should be there. Can she find it? It should be. It says it is.
I think he's frozen.
I don't
Was
know.
it
I don't
froze?
see it.
Yep.
Ah,
We're on here. Nope. Yep, it says we're live. So we're live. There we go. Somebody's got it.
You find it,
Anyway.
Sage? Yep, Sage got it.
We got Eastern Hot Rodder here. I'm sorry for all the technical difficulties because I am not very good at running a computer. But anyway, we went to StreamYard instead of the last streaming service we got, see if it'll do any better than what we was doing. And we're sitting here. We have got Copperhead Customs from Australia down there. We always lucky to see him every week. We don't know if he got eaten by a kangaroo or bit by a spider.
It's not that bad. I'm doing a short on a drop bear. You heard of drop bears?
I do not.
We're doing a short on a drop bear.
What is that?
It's not, like, honestly, there's not. It's just a little koala, and they call them drop bears, and they tell all the Americans that they drop out the trees and attack them, and they.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. Well, it's just we're going to do one with a stuffed koala,
Right. Okay.
a little stuffed toy, and we're going to drop it off the balcony and freak me out. And say, oh, freaking drop bear!
Oh, you'll have PETA on you.
Yeah, that's Sean Fat Tire Guy Thomas down there at the bar. He had a dog with him, but his dog run off. He run away.
No, he's still here. He's laying down beside me.
I don't blame him a bit. And Eastern Hot Rodder, man, how's everything going in your neck of the woods?
Feeling pretty good. I got some work done on the engine today for going in my little shop truck, so that was a good thing.
That's good. You know, you're talking about that. Of course, we want to talk about the first car we ever had if we want it back and all that other cool stuff going on. But, you know, I got that 49 Ford that I got out of the antique store up there. Y'all familiar with that video? It's one of the first videos ever made, the 49 Ford. Actually, the man that I got it from called me yesterday, and he said that there is a 289 in his daddy's garage that he wanted me to come get that actually was in that car at one point. And I thought about going back with the 302. But what do you think about with the 289? Looks like that'd be a cool.
Oh, yeah,
cool.
that's the engine they put in.
Yeah. It looks just like a 302, doesn't it? I mean, it's really
Pretty much.
Physically the same size, like the difference between a 350 and a 305.
How many bolt holes does it have for the bell housing? Because some of them had an odd number. The 260s, and I think the very first 289s had like a 5-bolt bell housing.
I think this is the same as the 302.
And they changed.
But I don't know about the power. You wouldn't need a whole lot of power anyway. I mean, I'm not going to be racing.
Either way, it's still going to make a lot more than that flathead did.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I want a flathead. I really don't think I want a flathead at all.
The flatheads are a great motor, man. They look awesome. They sound great, but they're expensive to build. And, you know, it costs you to make 300 horsepower out of a little flatty would cost you a fortune. So unless you had one that was good, and they're prone to cracking real bad too. So unless you had one that was good, you're money ahead with a 289.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with a 289.
Yeah.
Well, we got Karen Rogers watching on here, and Amber's watching on here. Anita Hicks says, where is Logan? Logan's probably getting ready to go to bed. He's got school tomorrow. But anyway, I don't know. I think that's what I want to do, that little 289.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get it, build it, and put it in it. And I don't know if it's still got the 3-speed, and I think the bell housing is the same. I think the bell housing is the same as what it was on the 302. I think they've done change that over.
Okay.
And I don't know if I want to go 3 on the tree. Or go
what's it? Is the transmission still in the car?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Still a stock transmission? They just used an adapter?
I think they used an adapter to put the 302 bell housing on it, or the 289 bell housing on it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I want that.
You don't want the stock 3. Well, the 3-speed stock 3-speed would be not synchronized in first gear.
Yeah, well, I'm used to that, but
you know, it would be nice to have a fully synchronized transmission in it. Or
I love driving 3 speeds on the column. I think they're fun.
They're fun on the column, but when you put them on the floor, it feels like you're missing a gear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
Stephen, if you don't throw out the money for a good Hurst shifter, one of them little old Chinese jobs for floor shifters not going to work good for a 3-speed in that car.
I don't want no. I want an automatic, man. I want to be able to just sit down.
Lord.
Smoke a cigar, change the radio station, drink
your arm around your girl.
Yeah. I want air conditioning. I want power disc brake. I want V8.
Are you going to build that 37?
Well, man, that's going to be a big build, that 37. I mean, the body's perfect on it. He had it painted. It's ready to go. All we got to do is put it back together. But gosh almighty, man, how much money would that take, do you think? I mean,
Is it all there?
everything, yeah, but the motor, but it's in pieces and parts. And it's like, you know how you buy model cars and they come in a box and it's got all the pieces in it. And it's,
Yeah, I got about 10 of them.
yeah, that's about what it's like. But instead of being on that nice little sheet, you know, it's all piled in boxes. It's like, oh yeah, what's this crooked looking thing? Where does it go at? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So if we're talking about first cars, who wants to go first?
let's see what you got.
Me?
Yeah.
So my first car, I was 12 years old. I traded a roll top desk. My parents ran a furniture store, and I wanted to get like a little Honda Odyssey, little like the early single seat kind of like a mini car kind of thing.
I know what Odyssey is.
Yeah, and they were real expensive. And my dad's like, "What for that price? Why don't you just get a car?" So I started looking around, and my dad's buddy had a Sanrail, a little 2-seat Sanrail, roll cage on wheels basically, and he wanted $600 for it, but his wife wanted a roll top desk, so I traded him a roll top desk for the car, and he threw in a '72 Super Beetle for a parts car. So I pieced those together, and that was my first car to drive when I was 12. And I learned to drive over my grandfather's farm. He had a big farm, about 88 acres or so, and we'd fly through the field to the woods and stuff and that, and learn how to counter steer and slide, do donuts and all that other stuff. It was
What model was it?
it was a 60. Well, it was it was a 1962
Right.
or 64 Mr. Bug chassis, and we put a 1600 dual port Super Beetle engine on the back of it. We had to use a different flywheel to make it work, and mated it up and learned to drive on that. Man, I would drive it all over the place, and it was funny. I learned how to drive on that, so I learned how to drive stick first. And the first time I got in my dad's Blazer to move it, it was an automatic. I didn't know how to start it, and he said, "Just turn the key." So I started it, and then he goes, "All right, pull it over here." I said, "How do I get it out of park?" And I'm pulling on the lever. He goes, "You got to pull it towards you." He goes, "Man, you got to be the only kid that knows how to drive a stick, but not an automatic."
Yeah. I can deal with that.
Yeah, but I learned a lot on that car, and
If it's Volkswagen, you was, I guarantee you, them things, but like you just have to tinker with them all the time, keep them going.
that was it, man. I mean, we'd pull the motor off, and I was always bucks down, so I was, I'd get parts and rebuild the brakes with used brakes, and then when I found better used brakes or better used clutch, I'd pull the motor off and we'd throw the clutch on, and we wired the whole thing, and it was painted in orange because that's always been my favorite color, and learned to drive on it, and then worked my way up horse trading after that. So by the time I got my license, my first car I had on the road was a big block 70 Chevelle.
Action Auto Salvage up there. Jamie Phillips says, "Hey guys, I reckon he got in a daggum SS Impala, and needless to say, the hood and the parts that I wanted went quick." So anyway, how are you, brother? Yep. He says, "My first car was a 57 Ford convertible." Now, how about that? That's pretty cool.
That's
for the
cool.
first car. Yeah, that's better than a Volkswagen when I was 7.
Yeah, man.
It was in my dad's junkyard. We pulled it out. Man, that was the way to go right there.
Yeah, man. That'd be a real cool car.
Riding in a rag top.
There you go.
Yeah. I love it. I guarantee it. No, I don't know, man. My dad though, I'm kind of like Jamie. His dad owned a junkyard. My dad almost did. We had more cars than you could count, man. I mean, it's just one thing after another. But I guess the first thing that I ever really got that was considered mine was I had a 65 Plymouth Barracuda. It had the 170 6-cylinder in it, and it'd been hitting the front. And I beat the fenders back out on it and fixed the radiator. Had 0 brakes on it. Got that thing running. And that's what I learned to drive. I learned to drive on a car with no brakes. It had none. I mean, honestly, the pedal just kind of swung back and forth because there wasn't nothing. I don't know why we were thinking, but that's what I learned to drive on. That's why, like I said, it don't bother me if a car don't have no brakes. I'm from driving junk with no brakes, it didn't bother me at all. But we drive that thing in the woods. Golly, boom. I bet I made 1,000,000 miles around the house. I'm not kidding you, that thing. But funny thing is, he had a 60 Chevrolet dump truck. I know y'all familiar with that. And I snuck and got that thing and decided I'd take it Copperhead, we live up here in the woods, so there's like oak trees. I don't know if you got oak trees or not, but we got a lot of oak trees, and I had a little path where I could drive through the woods with that little old Barracuda. And I decided I was going to take that dump truck through there, but I didn't take into consideration that the bed stuck out a foot on either side, you know. And man, I was going through the woods. I went between two trees and stopped, man. You ain't kidding. I about broke my neck in that thing. That's a learning experience. You learn a lot of stuff when you're a kid and you're dumb. You know what I'm saying?
How old were you when that happened?
Oh man, it stopped. Man, it didn't take long to stop at all. Man, that's the thing about people run over trees; they don't move at all. And I learned the hard way on that.
How old were you, Steve?
Gosh, I don't know. Probably 10, 11. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe 12. I don't know. I've been on motorcycles. I had two older brothers, so I had to keep up with them. You know, they were about 5 years older than I was, and they was always out in motorcycles and stuff. So I had to keep up, and that's kind of where, you know, cars and motorcycles, you name it. If it run and moved, that's what we wanted on it. Yep. Yep. Wanted on it.
I always feel bad for the people that couldn't get a first car before their license.
Yeah.
I think like in field cars, you learn so much with a field car and stuff like you not having brakes. That taught you so much more than you could learn on a car with brakes. You know, it teaches you what to do in emergency situations.
Seriously.
But you learn you can look for your route to get out in case there's in case you lose your brakes, you figure out a way to stop the car.
Yeah.
And where someone who I think everybody should start off driving a car with marginal drum brakes.
Yeah.
And we'd have a lot less tailgaters in the world.
I think they ought to learn you should have to drive an 18-wheeler before you can get your driver's license.
There you go.
Yeah, honestly. And you can see these big kids, that's never been behind the wheel and like, oh, I'm going to driver's education, learn how to drive a car. I said, you have no idea.
Yeah.
None.
What's it, 16 hours or something, driver's ed?
Yeah, they tell you the signs, which nobody pays attention to. The stoplights, they got them all screwed up because you got red stop, yellow means go faster, always, and green means go, Is that not the way it is down under? I mean, when it turns yellow, don't you speed up and try to beat it?
Yeah, they've actually put cameras in the lights now for that. They put speed cameras in the lights, so when you do boot it on yellow, you get pink.
Oh, I got that solved too, man. I went up there at Sean's and got one of his tags off one of his cars and put on back of mine.
Right.
I just go right on through, man.
There you go.
Never slow down.
Nothing like electronic government.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, did you ever put that CUDA on the road?
I never did. I drove that thing and drove it and had, of course, when you're young like that, but I don't know if you remember Bondo Chastain over at Murphy.
Yeah.
Okay. We got into racing with Randy and all them, and his mother had a 67 Plymouth Barracuda notchback. And he told me about it. And so I went and bought the 67 CUDA, and it's a little notchback car. And I bought that from her and brought it back. And then that's what I actually ended up fixing up. And as far as when I hit 16, that's what I was driving. We put a 340 down in it, and I put a 4-speed. It was an automatic car, put a 4-speed, and I spent every dime. I went over there. We took it to the body shop, and I saved my money up. And we told him, we said, I don't know why we did that, but we told him, I've got $925. Will that paint this car? And he said, I'll try to save all the money I can. And that paint job cost me $926 and like 42 cents. So it took every bit of my savings, But it was an ice blue little. I still got the car, man. That's the one Sean keeps trying to tell me to get at, but I'd really like to fix it back nice. But it's a 67 Plymouth Barracuda notchback. I love that little car. It's amazing though how small they are. You don't think about how small they are. You think about it like the Ford Falcon's kind of a small car, but if you set that little Barracuda beside the Falcon, there ain't a whole lot of difference. It's a small car too. It's a little car. But that thing back in the day, it would get it.
Yep. The first car I had on the road was a 70 Chevelle Malibu that was had a big block in it, 400 12-bolt posi. It was that was actually, I still keep a picture of it.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. That one cost me a little bit more. It was like $2,500 to have it painted.
Right.
That was 90. Let's see. I got my license 93, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 92. And it was. I had the car for quite a few years, and That was a fun car. It's funny how certain things will make you remember things. And there's a song. I can't remember the name of the song, but it was by a band called the Butthole Surfers. And,
Oh, yeah, my favorite group.
I think it was called. Oh man, I can't. It was something about like pouring like an avalanche coming down the mountain. Every time that song comes on the radio, I can remember pulling up this steep hill up in the city of Troy that came out up by the Hudson Valley College, and just every time that song comes on, I think about that Chevelle. And we had speakers they were like kind of like a triangle shaped speaker that fit down underneath the edge of the seat, so they were out of the sight where you couldn't see them. And I remember coming up that hill with my buddy Brendan, and I reaching down and put my hand on that speaker and feeling the bass coming through the speaker as I pulled up to the traffic light and made the turn to go past the college. And I guess I had a radio on that car, but I almost never used it. I always listened to just listen to the engine. So I guess maybe that's why that one song stands out so much compared to everything else.
Action Auto Parts up there, Jamie Phillips. He said between moving cars in the junkyard and a forklift at the lumber yard, I worked when I was 14, and that's how he learned how to drive a stick shift. Now, I'm going to tell you, them dang forklifts, man, I've got 2 or 3 of them stuck in my lifetime. Have you not?
Hey, we need to get Jamie on this talk with us sometime. He's got some unbelievable parts and stuff. I bought a lot of parts off him. I've been by his place in Kentucky.
Well, he posts all them shorts, all them new cars he gets, and I'm just like I said, he just had that SS Impala. I got that one of mine. He had one of them hoods. It's got the Chevrolet. I don't know what you call it, but the cool hood and guys a day late and a dollar short. You got to get quick on that kind of stuff. But,
You got to be one of those hoods.
Shook's got one of those hoods, but it's off a Caprice, so it'll have a hood ornament.
No, his had the Crowell induction hood.
Oh yeah. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, the Crowell induction hood. Good looking car, man. I love my SS.
I don't know what it is about them fellers in Kentucky gets the best parts. That's who I buy. I buy from a couple of guys in Kentucky, and it seems like they've got a horde of the best parts. They must have them fellers in that state, I guess, never threw nothing away, and it was a good thing.
Well, I see a lot of good deals on classic cars up Kentucky way too.
He's got some stuff he's parting out I'd like to have. I'd like, dang, and I'm afraid to go up there. And the reason I say I don't know if I could bring enough stuff back because my wife would be mad at me to come dragging all that back in there. I mean, honestly, he's got a small pickup truck. That's it. Nothing more. And he is reasonably priced. You can't complain about the prices on the stuff. But how long did it take you to drive up there, Sean?
It'd probably take 4.5 hours to get there from here.
Okay.
Probably 3 with me driving.
Yeah.
What town is it in?
You just get on 75 and go all the way up. And
what's in Bowling Green?
I think once you get through Corbin, Kentucky, it's just a little bit past Corbin, Kentucky, and then you'll turn off. I can't remember what exit it is. But him and his brother both has got. Of course, I ain't never brought nothing from his brother, but his brother's got some good stuff too.
He said, "Thanks, Sean. You bought a bunch off of me. I have a 210 Nitro coming in. I don't know what that is. What's a 210 Nitro?"
2010 Nitro. It's a little Dodge. Dodge's version of the Jeep Liberty.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Little boxy SUV. They're kind of cool.
And he said, "Will you please pick up this check?"
Yeah. I've always PayPal'd him. There was never no checks.
Yeah. Oh, we're in trouble now. We got Flat Broke Garage in here with his wife. Must not be mad at him no more. Hey, wild man.
Well, who's the guy can't tell time? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Does he have a helicopter back there? I can't see.
No, that one fell apart.
That's good. You're still at home.
So, Copperhead, what was your first car? I'm curious about his first car.
Mine was a Valiant.
Okay.
So, what's that, a Plymouth over there?
Yeah.
A VG Valiant 4-door. So, you have the 2-door version. You guys have something like near on identical to it. It's, I think it's a Pacer.
What year is it? What year was
It's like it's early 70. I think it's 71. It's like a squarish one. It's a square one.
Yeah.
Was it made by Chrysler?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's probably the same as a as their Dart or the Plymouth Valiant, I would
I'm
imagine.
trying to look one up here on Google right quick.
Was it
VG,
slant-
is that what it's called?
VG Valiant 4-door, yeah, with a 245 Hemi in it. And it's the one that's got the little blinkers on the guards.
Oh, cool.
Little square notch out blinkers on the guards.
So
But there's a 2-door
so it
version.
wasn't-
that-
It
they're-
didn't have
they're-
slant six in it.
It looks a bit like the Dukes of Hazzard car, like the American
wait a
one.
minute. Hold on. That's a cool looking car. It's like a Dodge Dart. It looks like a Dodge Dart.
Yeah.
It might be a Dodge Dart, yeah, that it looks like.
It looks like a
are you
Dodge
looking
Dart.
at a 2-door or a 4-door?
I'm looking at, well, they got both of them here.
Yeah, okay. So I think the 2-door one, there's an American one, and they're nearly identical.
Well, yours has got kind of the hood. This kind of slopes down. It's got the little turn signals on top of the hood. I mean, on
Yeah.
top of the fenders.
Yeah, that's the one I had.
Well, that's a Dodge Dart. That's all that is. That's a Dodge. That's a cool looking car, though. I love the Dart.
Okay,
What
so
model?
that was my first car. With the
I got a
245.
Duster.
Was that a column manual, I think?
And you said it had a Hemi in it?
He said a
Yeah,
245.
that's it there. That's the one. That's the one.
That's it.
That's it. So that was about, I don't know, it would have been 14, I suppose. And then I was like, it was a nice car, it was good, and I was just tinkering with it. And then I was a bit of a rat bag, see, so I bought it out of my own money, but that I was from working, but I didn't have a license, so mum come home once, and the car was gone, and so was I. I was out in the car hooning around with no license, and so yeah, she sold it on me because I was
Now you said you had a Hemi in it. Explain to me what that was.
245 Hemi 6-cylinder.
245 6-cylinder Hemi.
Yeah.
We didn't have these in the States. That was Australian only, I think, wasn't it?
All right, so we had a 245 and a 265.
Okay.
And the 265, they used to put triples on them. They come out in the Chargers, which is it's a different. But that was the fastest car down the quarter mile.
No kidding.
Fastest factory car. Yeah, it was faster than the Falcons and all that. Like, yeah, the 265 with triple Webers on it.
Yeah, very cool.
Or something. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, we had those. So they had the 225 slant 6, which you guys have.
I love that motor. I
It's
love
that
that motor.
like before, and then they had these 2 Hemi 6-cylinders. Yeah.
The Leaning Tower of Power.
I just wonder if this Hemi head would fit on top of a slant 6.
No.
No.
But they were an inline motor, right? Or were they slant?
Yeah, inline 6, but they were like completely different. They were a straight up and down motor, not a diagonal one.
Let's see if I can find it there. Does that look like
There it
it?
is,
That's got all this. Hold on a minute. I'm watching the picture. That's blurry.
Yeah, I think it's hard to pick, but
It's like a.
it looks like a Ford 250, old 250 sort of thing.
Oh, really?
I got one of those.
In the Falconino.
Well, now, did
Falconino.
motor, did the intake go in one side and the exhaust go out the other?
Which one? On
On the
Yeah, I
Hemi.
think so. Yeah, you mark. I don't know. Now you.
I wouldn't doubt if it was a performance engine. It's better flow that way instead of the cross flow head makes a lot more power.
Now you're rattling my brain.
Yeah. I'm showing them
I
right here, and it's not. It's so they're like there's like a. It's got like a slant 6, but it's a Hemi. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. They weren't here in the States, that's for sure.
No.
No.
How did they do on power?
Oh yeah, they were unreal. The 265. That's what I was saying. The 265 was the fastest car down the quarter mile out of any factory Australian car.
Huh.
Did anybody do anything with the 225 slant 6 down there?
Nah, not really.
No.
That's like up here. You
I've
can
had
get
some,
those
I've had some cool ones where I've like had them all, but sound good and whatever. But yeah, they're like a little bit like slugs, really, compared to those Hemis.
Yeah, they just run forever. You can get some speed parts and stuff for them, but you still can't even make any kind of real power.
I
My-
don't know, man.
My 32, when I first bought my 32, that had the 245 Hemi sitting in it. Yeah, and I sold it off because I didn't want it. So I'm trying to picture how they had the exhaust in it. I think they're on the same side. The exhaust and the inlet and the exhaust are on the same side.
According to this, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to this, it is. I don't know, man.
A friend of mine's got a a 4-cylinder Chevy, a little inline four they put them in Novas and stuff in the early 60s or early 70s, and the valve covers were so small they only said Chevy instead of Chevrolet. And my buddy got one, and it's in a little Bantam coupe that he built as a street rod, and they fit it with he didn't do it. He got the engine this way. The motors fit with a Chevy small block cylinder head. So when you first look at it, everybody thinks it's a slant 6, and all of a sudden they realize there's 2 cylinders missing because they angled the Chevy head. And the guy who did it was a guy out of Florida, if I remember right. And he put that engine in a Triumph and ran in the modified sports class and gas classes back in the 60s. And the car made so much power, he actually flipped it over on the starting line launching it one time. It came right up and over backward. So the car used to make a ton of power, the little 4-cylinder with a Chevy head on it. And now it's knocked down. It's probably it's a pump gas motor now, but he's got it in a lightweight little car. Is plenty for that little hot rod, and it just looks cool because it's a little Bantam with a little Bantam grill and this little oddball looking 4-cylinder with a canted head.
But no, that wasn't the Iron Duke, was it? I mean, that wasn't.
It was, yeah.
I'm not a big Iron Duke fan. I think they named it Iron Duke so you'd think it was something special. But we dirt track down here, and some of them run them Iron Dukes, but them 2300 Pinto motors would eat them things alive.
Yeah,
my buddy's running a Pinto motor in a Formula car right now.
Yeah, they're bad news.
Those things are crazy fast.
I used to make fun of them things, but that one guy turned $9,000 around that racetrack in one of them little Pinto motors, and after that, it made a believer out of me. I thought, wow. And then
my buddy just snagged a Cosworth Vega. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
He just picked one up, pulled it out of a junkyard, all complete. So that'll be something cool. Little engine with a lot of power.
Yeah, they were 111 horse, I think, stock. Or something like 100, 111, 121 or something like that, if I remember right.
I don't know, but I know Vega was like the best Chevrolet car or best car Chevrolet ever made there. I think next to the Corvair, was it not? Was that not the?
Sure. Right on top. If you got the aluminum block with the iron head, here's a case of oil with your car.
And then they kept the platform alive. It became the Monza, the Sunbird, and the Skyhawk.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, man, that little Vega was a good looking car, man. It really was.
Yeah, especially the early ones, man. They're like scaled down Camaros.
Well, it went up against the Maverick and the Pinto.
Yeah, I'd rather have the Vega if it wasn't for that motor.
Yeah, I don't fit in a Vega.
They make convertibles.
Yeah,
I had a 76 Vega.
I'd have to put the seat in the back seat, driver's seat in the back seat.
Yeah,
I had a 76 Vega notchback that looked bone stock on the outside, but I had a 283 in it. It was a little screamer, and I sold it to a friend of mine, and he ended up selling it to a guy, and the guy who owns it just called me up. He's got the car all done, and rust-free little car. It was a little grandma stock, 23,000 original mile car when the V8 was put in. And he's got the car all built with a 383 stroker. He wants to go beat up on a bunch of people. But
I had a 75 Vega stock, bone stock with an automatic. And I'm telling you, we got a little mountain over here called Young Harris Mountain, Copperhead, in between Hiawassee and Young Harris. And you had to get a run and go to make it to the top, I can tell you. If you could make it to the top, you could coast to the bottom, man. It was, golly.
That sounds like the Pontiac.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything when you looked out the window. You could see everything. Yeah. Yeah, that little Hemi, man, that stuff that kind of got me interested. I guarantee it. I reckon Sean done quit on us. He must have bad service or something. So
he must be out looking for that Hemi.
Yeah. Flat broke, you said the first car you ever had was a what?
Oh, well, it's the first car I ever had. I hated it at the time, but I wish I had it.
Right.
My dad gave me, this was 1978. My dad gave me a 74 or 75 Plymouth Fury wagon with a 360 in it, a 9-passenger, and I hated it, because in 1978, you did not want to be driving a 9-passenger wagon, and it got like 3 miles to the gallon. No, so I told my dad I wanted something else. So I found it was a 1976 Ford F-150 4-wheel drive, and I was going to put a snowplow on it. I was going to make some money. So I had that wagon about 2 weeks, and I traded it. My dad co-signed, and I got a 2-year-old F-150, 300 cube 6, manual steering, power brakes, stick shift, just bone stock truck. And I loved that truck. I wanted something fast, but my dad goes, nope, no way, no way.
Yeah.
But, I could use the truck to get to work, and I worked at a gas station. And that's when gas, I think 1979 or 80, whenever it jumped up to $1 in the Chicago area. And a guy came in, I filled his car, $18, that's ridiculous. I've had it. You want to buy this car, kid? And I went, yes, I do. It was a 69 Torino GT convertible.
Wow.
I bought the car for $300.
Wow.
Wow.
And I brought it home, and my dad was going to kill me. He said, you're never going to be able to insure this thing. Because as soon as I got my license, I got 3 tickets.
Right.
So within the course of about 8 months, I had 3 vehicles, and I haven't lost momentum.
Yeah, I'm
I
with
just-
you on that.
I got a problem. I just keep buying the stupid things,
It's not a problem. I just don't know what in the world, when you pulled up to your girlfriend's house to pick her up on a hot date in a 9-passenger station wagon, what their parents was thinking.
And the air conditioning cranks, right? Come on, you won't start getting back.
You're not going with him, period.
You know what those cars are bringing now? It was a big block too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Those wagons are bringing huge money now.
Yeah, all
Well, tell
right,
me this
yeah.
now. You down there at that Elvis Presley limousine. We need to buy that and start a band, man. I'm telling you.
So, you
What
know,
do
me and Bill talked about that car. The back pillar is rotted right off it real bad.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing to do with that car is cut the roof right off it and then make a platform on the back and make it a parade car where a band can stand up on the back of it. So
Right.
you can put people in it, in the seats, and then also have like a stage on the back trunk area. I think that would be a cool way to build that car. Keep it a big ugly pink Cadillac. And,
I had an Elvis guy. I forgot his YouTube channel. I think he's called the Hot Tub Guy. He's like a YouTube or a Elvis fanatic.
Right.
So I had another one of my YouTube subscribers say, you got to send this to the Hot Tub Guy. So I sent it to him, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to check it out. So he goes, they're probably fakes. A lot of people did fake. I go, I'm not saying it is a Elvis car. I'm just saying, is it? Help me identify it.
Right.
His name is in 2 spots on that car, and there was a tag that was under the hood that somebody removed. But, isn't. It's just weird. Everything, this guy, the Hot Tub Guy, I think he went out and bought the ambulance that Elvis was carted away in when he passed away. He tracks stuff down like that. He's got a bunch of records. So he says he's going to look into it. I guess I could. The coach builder numbers on there, you have the Cadillac tag that says built for Elvis Presley. Then the coach builder is out of Texas. I can't remember which one it was. And then it said owner Elvis Presley. So,
Who knows?
Superior is one of the ones that did a lot of those conversions.
well, yeah.
He bought a lot of Cadillacs, though, man. He bought a lot of Cadillacs. He bought Cadillacs like he did shoes.
Yeah, now Elvis it came around this area quite a lot. There was a restaurant here in town he frequented all the time, and I'd say more than 10 people have told me they met him. He was a great guy, was very generous. He went to church here, local church, just would swing in, and he was they just treated him like a regular guy, and that's what they liked,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just crazy for him to be in this part of the country, though. That's just, of course, Memphis, I guess, ain't that far if you think about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, like I said, it's just, the search continues. It just, people are on it now. People are looking at, I'm going to look it up. It's a fake. Okay.
My dad, when I was in 4th grade, my dad was in a bad motorcycle wreck and his foot was cut off, sewn back on. And when he healed up from that, it kind of got him out of bikes. So he wanted to get an old Corvette. So he found one in a junkyard in Salt Lake City. So we flew out there during when I was in 5th grade. We flew out during Thanksgiving break. This is what got me into cars. We flew out there during Thanksgiving break with a toolbox full of hand tools, and we get to this junkyard, and the car was not as nice as it was in person as it was in the pictures, but had all these things welded on it, and we weren't sure what it was. And my dad tracked the owners back. The first owner was MGM Studios. The second owner was the cameraman for MGM Studios. And he used it after MGM. He bought it and was like, he'd lease it out to different movies, and he'd drive around and the pipes that were in the back, they're mounted at like an angle. They would they take the trunk off and slide him in, and like this little bomber seat, so you could do like a film from the back while the car was going down the road and do car-to-car sequences and stuff. And there was different mounts that were ground off through the years that where cameras were mounted. But he was passed away. But my dad talked to that guy's daughter, and she said that the motor blew in 71 or 72 when he was coming back from Texas. And at the time, the $1,000 engine job wasn't worth putting into a 57 Corvette, so he left it in the junkyard in Salt Lake City. But she said she remembers it. She said it was used in a couple Elvis movies and a few other B movies, but she couldn't recall the names of them. So we were never able to find the Elvis movie it was used in. But it was kind of an interesting story.
Yeah. I got Amber here, said her first car was a Chevrolet 454 pickup truck to pull her horse trailer. Passed everything with the gas station. I can believe that, but
yeah,
if you got a load of horses, gas is your least worry, man.
Yeah,
You're
man.
trying to feed a horse. Good God.
that gas gauge tank switch worked like a tack. You just boom, boom, switching tanks,
Jeez, I don't know. That's pretty interesting, though, that Cadillac is. But like I say, it's a eat up with rust, man.
If you want, come on out. I'll take you over and you can check the thing out. It is kind of cool looking.
I've had, I deal with antiques. My wife's got an antique mall, and I got a signed autographed picture from Elvis, and I thought, I've hit the gold mine. But I got a buddy of mine that he's got a guy that's like an Elvis fanatic, and he looked at it and he said, look, they sent out thousands of these. They had this print thing that printed it and made it look like, you could even see where the pen had pushed into the paper, but they that's the way they done it. So, man, there's so much fake stuff out there. I just think the world would be a better place if Elvis was still alive and all the impersonators was dead. You know what I mean?
Vegas would be different.
He was Elvis fan. There's a couple songs I like from him, but I think there's a lot of other. I don't know why he got as big as he did, actually.
Yeah,
I love Elvis. I'm a big Elvis fan.
I'm not an Elvis fan. That's why all my friends are like slapping me down.
But now, wait a minute. Do you like the Beatles?
No.
Oh, you don't like the Beatles either? Most people that don't like Elvis love the Beatles. I hate the Beatles.
Yeah, I think the Beatles are all right. They had a couple good songs, but that's another band where I don't know why they got as big as they did.
The Beatles, yeah. I like Yellow Submarine. That's a great Beatles hit there, wasn't it? And I Am the Walrus. That's another one. Oh, wow.
I did paint my propane tank to look like a Yellow Submarine, though.
Yeah.
Y'all, Copperhead Day, any Elvis fans down under?
Yeah. I'm not one.
No.
Yeah, it's before my time.
Yeah, mind you,
Yeah, me too.
You're all
He
acting
had a couple good songs.
like being into Elvis.
Yeah.
That's like my mum's era.
Yeah.
he died when I was in high school. I think he died, 77?
Yeah, I think 77 or something.
I was one.
Yeah, I was
It was
two.
77, and I was 1 year old when he died.
Yeah. I like Elvis. I don't know. So what do you
Yeah, I mean, he had some good stuff. There's always that exception, but by and large, there's a lot of other rockabilly bands I'd rather listen to.
My wife likes Elvis, and we went to Graceland because we live in Tennessee, and I think that's kind of on the resume. You have to go to Graceland. So we went there, and I have a whole new respect for him as a person. The things he tried being a regular guy, and it's just all the hype, and they were just milking him for money. He was a cash cow. But when you talk to people who are in their service with him and stuff like that, and the people that his pilots or the limo drivers, they just say he's a regular guy, just a big kid. So I have respect for him in that manner. But as far as the music,
Yeah.
I think that he would have had a lot more musical hits if he hadn't have tried to be the movie star that they was trying to make him.
I totally agree.
Yeah, you're probably right. He probably wouldn't have
It literally killed his music for all them years, and he didn't concentrate on it. His very first stuff I liked, and then as it went on, I didn't. It was too. I know it was just like you could just like studio stuff is what it was about. Like it wasn't, like it had any feeling or anything.
Yeah,
to me.
their early stuff was definitely better stuff.
Yeah. Shop Cat Industries. He said, "Hey, y'all just delivered a snowblower. What are you talking about? A local community league reached out about a senior in need, so he fixed up a snowblower. Well, good deal. Good deal helping your I don't.
Paying it forward, man. Paying it forward.
Yeah, guarantee it.
What was your first car, Sean?
I had just a no frills 77 Nova, and it ain't the car that I would have picked out. There was a dealer that was a local dealer up here in Hiawassee, George Ormby. He just had two cars. He had that 77 Nova and a 78 Fairmont, and the Fairmont was a 302, and that's the car that I really wanted. But my brother-in-law was fronting the money, so he's a GM man, so that's what we ended up getting. But the car was a pretty good car. It done pretty good. I paid payments on it until I just about had it paid off, and then he had a 61 Ford unibody truck that had been cut down on the steps I'd put on it, and we just traded around where I got out of the payment, and I had some fun with that truck. It had a 400 out of a early 70s LTD in it. And so that truck with straight axle front end and everything. It's fun truck drive. It really do good burnouts.
But it did. Those Disco Novas are starting to get hot now. You almost couldn't give them away for a while, and all of a sudden you're starting to see them, come out of the woodwork.
The Fairmonts are crazy money because they're Fox bodies.
Yeah, right. Everything from a Mustang will bolt right onto it.
Yeah, I like the Fairmont better than the Mustang.
Yeah,
I do too. I love the Fairmonts. They turned them into police cars. I worked at a towing outfit when they became police cars, and they weren't fast, but they were cool. You fit in them, and they replaced actually the Torinos and the LTDs back then.
That Futura, that's what I got. I got the Futura. How do you say that? Fairmont
Futura.
Yeah, I like the roof line on that car. I love the roof line. God, yeah, mine's a 302 car, which is better.
I like
the one thing that we all know, all of us knows about, hold on just a second and I'll show you a picture. We all know about the 70s cars and the what I call, they didn't have fast engines, but they had go fast stickers all over the cars.
Oh yeah.
And they'd always put stickers. Hold on just a second. I'll show you a car that I did a couple of years ago and sold it.
I got a sticker. Look at that one.
Nomad.
That's off like a 70. That was like off a 70 station wagon.
Yeah, well then you got the Thrush stickers.
Yeah.
The Go Fast stickers. Yeah, that Nomad was my buddy's. It was his wagon. He put it into a tree. And when they hauled it off, I took the Nomad off.
This car right here, I went all the way up to Rhinebeck, New York. That was a one-owner car. I got it just a few years ago, but that's the 78 King Cobra. They only made like 4,300 of them cars.
I remember seeing that at the Rhinebeck shows.
But of course I jacked it up and because I like them to be, jacked up with fat tires and everything sticking on them, and but that car was a good driver and everything. I kept it for a while, and I ended up setting it all back to stock, and I sold it. Went over to the Netherlands. It sold and went to the Netherlands.
Okay.
Of course, them cars just went crazy money. I think I sold that car for $6,500, and now I think one in that condition right there, it's probably 10 or 12,000 is what they're bringing now.
It's just a Pinto though. That's the thing about it.
That car right there, that Mustang 2 is what all the true Ford guys totally hate them. It's like the redheaded stepchild to them, but all of the street rodders, everything that you hear, it's got a Mustang 2 front end. They love them front ends to put in the street rods.
Yeah.
And a 9-inch. Don't forget the 9-inch.
Yeah.
Only the King Cobras had that. I think the regular Cobra or the regular Mustangs only had an 8. I think it was only the King Cobras, wasn't it, that had the 9-inch?
Well, that was a King Cobra there. It was an 8-inch too, but it looks like a 9-inch, but it was just an 8-inch.
Yeah.
Well,
Because the car's so small.
Charlie's Angels liked that Mustang, so I'm with them. Charlie Angel liked it. Y'all remember Charlie's Angels?
Oh yeah, well, you see the picture, the steering wheel, actually, the horse's hair was Farrah Fawcett's hair. A lot of people don't realize that. Hold on, and I'll show you a picture of it. But the horn button had Farrah Fawcett's hair on it. Hold on, and I'll find it.
I'm still on that saying about as popular as a red-headed stepchild.
That's an American saying, man.
That's gold. I'm using that one.
Yeah,
You'll see that in the video coming soon.
There you go.
We used to say that when you're going to beat somebody up. I'm going to beat you like a redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never have heard that before?
No, I haven't heard that one. That was good. That's why I've been sitting here giggling ever since you said it.
Yeah, you talking about we had a couple of used car lots here, and Lake Hogsett had a car lot, and he told this story himself. He owned that car lot, but back years ago, of course, he's passed away now. But there's a guy drove a car in. He kind of lived at the car lot was at the bottom of the hill, and this guy drove the car in, wanting to trade with him for another car. And he said, "Well, which one are you interested in?" And he said, "Well, I don't really care. I just need something, And so he went out there and he pointed one out, and he said, "I'll trade this and even up." He said, "I'll trade it even up for this one." That guy said, "Okay, yeah, I'll take it. Okay, good deal." And they went in, filled all the paperwork out, and that guy got in his car and drove off. And Lake said he told that guy was working with him, he said, "Bring that car around here and let's wash it and put it in line." And he went out there to get in it, and it didn't have no transmission at all. The guy, he had unloaded it up the street and coasted it down there. It was completely. So he said, from then forward, he said, "I always test drive a car before I do any kind of trading, But he had no transmission. That just tickled me. But here he is.
When I was looking for my first car, I was calling on everything that was in my price range, and they called about a '66 Nova, and the guy said he did a bunch of work to it, replaced the shock towers, and rebuilt the front end, and it didn't have an engine, and we went on and on. And my dad says, "Ask him if we can roll it up on a trailer." I said to him, I said, "Can we get it up on a trailer?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "It's just sitting on a couple tires on the front, but we can get it up on a trailer." I said, "All right." So he went out to look at it. It was like $650, but I was a young kid and I had no money. So we go all the way up, and it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours away to go look at this car. We pull in the driveway, and the front end was off the car. He had new parts in a box. He replaced the rotted part of the shock towers, but he didn't do it right. And the front end was sitting on a couple tires. No wheels, no spindles, just sitting on a couple tires like a wheelbarrow. And we just looked at it, and my dad just looked at me. He's like, "Come on, let's go." We get in the truck. He didn't say anything to me for felt like forever. It was probably 5 or 10 miles. We're just driving. I'm thinking, "Oh, shit, I'm in trouble." And he goes, "The next time, make sure that the tires are bolted to the car."
Yeah.
Okay.
Right here's the horn button on that Cobra, and see that horse's mane? That's actually Farrah Fawcett's hair that they did on that horn button on them cars. A lot of people do.
You got some Farrah DNA. You can clone a new one. Go get a sheep.
Yeah.
But I think Ford actually gave her one of them Cobras, not the King Cobra, but I think hers, she had a white with blue stripe that she drove around that Ford gave her whenever that show was popular.
Everybody my age as a teenager remembers that poster.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Something I wanted, and I don't know how many would know this or remember this. But once again, back when I was a kid, I think it was in the back of Popular Mechanics magazine, this was Popular Mechanics. In the back, there was an ad. They used to say Army surplus Jeeps in a box.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So you could go out and buy a world, that's I know, because Vietnam was still going on. So it was like World War II, Korea. You could buy a Jeep in a box for like $600 back then, and it was brand new. I always thought my dad, that's a scam, this and that. And before I moved to Tennessee, there's a guy in Chicago that actually bought one of them in a box and still has it in his museum. So they did exist, but they were junk. I mean, they just,
I've got a buddy of mine, Bruce He lives up in Ohio, I think it is. That he restores. That's what he does. That's all he does, restores the Army Jeeps. I actually think he's got one. I think he's got the Jeep in a box.
They keep them in the box. If you get the ones that were in the shipping crate, I guess they're worth a lot. But it's weird. He said the engine's locked and all that, just from sitting. But I remember the ad. I don't know how many ever remember seeing those ads.
I remember that whenever I was a boy. You know,
Yep.
and, I think they even come down as they got up towards 1980. I can remember seeing them some of the ads for like $25 for one of them
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And but you know, it's just like that's one of them deals like you just never did get that. Where I was just a kid, I never did, you know, get anything like that.
We had
Oh,
one
I always
time.
thought it was cool. The movie
Yeah.
Kelly's Heroes, that ruled my life, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted
the
a
only
Jeep
thi-
and I
the
wanted
only
a half
thing-
track.
The only
I love
thing that
that
I
half
got
track.
out of them magazines back in the day was them sea monkeys, where you pour them things.
Yes,
You know,
freeze-dried brine shrimp is what they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
But them
I
things
bought
have come
a,
back to life, wasn't they?
And what was
I bought
the
a-
mystical, the powder you'd put in that grow the castles? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, the rocks. Yeah.
The rock,
Yeah.
yeah, you grow rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, we were easily entertained back in the day, were we not?
Well,
Man?
that's before the interweb. All you had was Sears catalog and Popular Mechanic.
Yes,
You
that's
had your
right.
porn and your
Rock
cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
I had a Jeep one time, one of them old Army Jeeps, and me and Marty Johnson. You remember Marty?
Yeah.
Sean, we was up there riding through the woods just as hard as we could go. Them Jeeps, you know, the passenger seat folded up, and then there was a glove compartment underneath the seat.
Yeah.
So I went across this hump, man, and we went airborne, and he reached down and grabbed a hold of the seat, and when that thing nose dived into the ground, that seat come up and stuck his head through the windshield. I couldn't help him for laughing, man. It was sad, but it was funny, man. I guarantee it. God, it hurt. Seemed like the more it hurts, the funnier it is.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I ran over my buddy once. As soon as I knew it was okay, it was hilarious.
One of my dad's buddies ran himself over. He had a Ford. It was like the community car, and he jumped in the car and he went down to get parts for my dad, and the car would stall out all the time. So he got down to the T intersection. The car stalled out, so he quick jumped out and reached under the hood. He didn't have the key, so he jumped the solenoid. And we jumped the solenoid and started up, but we left it in gear, and it ran him over and went through the intersection and crashed into a newsstand. So he said, "Oh no!" He ran up and jumped up on the hood of the car, slid down the windshield, and he says, "Everybody okay?" And everybody was shocked. And they were, "Yeah, we're fine." He goes, "Okay, good, because I just stopped in for cigarettes and a newspaper." And,
That worked. Jeez. Copperhead, how's your car coming down there, man? I hadn't got to watch your video this week.
Yeah, not bad. I jumped off it and jumped on that 32 chassis and welded it all out and boxed it all in and everything. I've probably got another hour or so to do this morning on that chassis, and I can get that one off the rotisserie and then put the Oakland on the rotisserie
Right.
to do that one chassis.
I'm gonna have to be with Flat Broke. He had that working on that Taurus, and he was trying to get them fittings.
I was gonna say you're talking. That's a real body man. Then you got me, but hey, here again, I'll show you. Ready? She is back
drop it down a
together.
little bit. I can see the headlight.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The question is
Let's do it
why?
this way.
Why?
There we go. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, it looks
Looking
good.
pretty good.
It looks mint.
Looking like a Taurus again.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a Ford Taurus.
So now what are you
So-
gonna do with it?
But the only thing I'm waiting for is, I don't know if you saw in the video, I got the whole car back together and everything lined up. I closed the hood, antifreeze started pouring out of it.
Well, that's okay. Just add antifreeze. Put stop.
No.
Let it go.
Yeah, but the pulling the radiator in that thing is a nightmare. It all comes out the bottom.
Oh,
So I had to tear the whole bottom of the car apart. I sent the radiator. I don't even know if it was the radiator. One of the fittings cracked.
Well,
So
now
I
that,
sent it out to a shop. They were going to test the radiator, see if it's bad, which I kind of hope it is.
right.
Then I could just throw a new one in. But if it's not, I got to find what are those plastic doodad fittings.
I hate them fittings, man. That one you was trying to slide that thing on and get the fittings out. God, I hate them. I'm with you on that. I felt your pain.
And I had to do it twice now.
Yeah.
Lovely.
What are they? It's got the little spring in it, and you're supposed to spread the spring out, and then the thing pops out.
Yeah, quick release things.
Yeah, they ain't nothing quick about them.
Yeah.
That guy should be covered on honey and put on an ant pile, whoever invented that thing.
Yeah.
That is just ridiculous. And then they put them in a spot you can't even see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate
You
new
can't reach
cars.
for any. Bill, they were probably invented by a redheaded stepchild.
Exactly.
No, they all work at BMW.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to make an internal combustion engine that is all plastic, because everything. When I see these cars, all I see is just like they're just pieces of plastic to me anymore. They're they're like an appliance.
Yeah.
They ain't got no soul, these newer cars.
No.
And and it's like that Taurus is. Them Taurus are good road cars, and I can
It's
understand why you're
Tupperware.
fixing it.
Tupperware.
It's Tupperware on wheels. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They all look the same. And I agree with you. It's a dependable car. That's why we fixed it. I think it's only got 65, 70,000 miles on it, and there's no rust. But it's Tupperware. It does nothing for me,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's you go over to Shook's junkyard right now, and all of the front wheel drive cars from the late 70s through the 80s and 90s, nearly all of them are 100% complete cars. A hot rodder don't even want a seat out of one of them cars in their car.
Yeah.
There's certain cars that'll be collectible, but nobody's going to be like, man, I can't wait to restore this 86 Escort.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember though, Taurus, they put a V8, an a V8 in a Taurus?
Yeah.
That
Here's
Yamaha.
It was okay. Well, when I went to the junkyard to get the light, I needed a couple little electrical things that are broke. I cut them out of one of those V8 Tauruses. I'm like, hey, I think this car is kind of rare. I mean, for a Taurus,
Yeah.
those things
You
were
talking
hot.
about the SHO? It was still a V6, but it was what was it, like a Kawasaki or Suzuki
Yamaha.
engine or something like that?
Yeah, I thought it was a V. It looked like a V8. It was big.
Yeah, they take up a lot of space, but they're only a 6-cylinder.
Oh, okay.
But they'll turn like 9 or 10 grand.
Yeah. But you're right. Nobody had touched that car.
No, they
It
don't
was
even want to
supposedly
see
a
that.
hot car at the time, and everybody walked around it and went to the 72, C10 that was sitting right next to it.
Well, y'all gonna make fun of me, but I have got an 84 or 85 Ford EXP. I don't know why I bought it, but I've got it. You remember it was like a two-seater Escort.
Yeah.
It's really a cool looking car, but
How good a shape's it in, Stephen?
it's in good shape.
My buddy had one. He drove it through a puddle and seized the engine.
It's like a 1.8 4-speed,
Yeah.
1.8 liter 4 in the floor. I think it's got 65 horses, about like a Volkswagen.
Yeah,
Is it
the one thing about having cars back at when you was a teenager, you could be racing somebody and go by the cops, and they didn't even know you was racing. The car
Right.
was slow,
Whose leaf blower is faster?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
my
like
buddy
it,
had
though.
one.
Yeah.
When our Taurus got wrecked, I immediately thought it was totaled. So I went on my favorite place to shop, govdeals.com, and I came across a Ford 500 all-wheel drive lieutenant's car, undercover police car.
Mhm.
So I bid on the thing, and now horrifyingly, I'm the high bidder, and there's only like 12 hours left.
Oh, wow.
And I may be the owner of a Ford 500 all-wheel drive. I don't even know anything about them.
I think they're the same platform as the new Explorers.
They just got that big thing on. That's what y'all got an EXP. If you can see that, I don't know if you can see.
Oh
it.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Is that what color yours was?
Mine's red.
Yeah, my buddy's was maroon, like maroon and black.
Yeah,
Is yours a straight shift or automatic, Steve?
4 in the floor, son. 4 in the floor. Didn't even
Yeah.
have-
Well, you was talking about going with the auto and that old Ford. I was afraid you was buying all automatics. Was getting Is your school bus automatic, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
I don't know if they even make a standard shift school bus anymore.
I know
Well-
one thing. The guy that run the bus garage back in the day, he said that's the best thing they ever done is made school buses automatics. He
Oh,
said
yeah.
I was changing clutches every single day, man.
Yeah. Stop, go, stop, go, stop, go.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
And now they got like an Allison transmission in them too. They're bulletproof.
Yeah, with the Cummins turbocharged diesel, but I mean, if you was going to build a Cummins diesel, it'd be good to get it out of a bus because they drop the horsepower down on them. I mean, there's no horsepower to
The
it.
best diesel engine for a school bus, we used to cut them up. The DT 466, the International 6-cylinder,
That's a
those
good
things were badass. They had a lot of torque.
Yeah, and they last forever.
Yep. Not fuel efficient though.
Who cares about that, man? When you're looking good.
Yeah.
Is all them school buses diesel, Stephen?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with this big diesel shortage that's coming up? Is the kids going to go back to homeschooling on the computer or whatever?
I'm hoping everybody run out of diesel fuel at one time, and then I can just sit at the house with everybody else for a while.
Yeah.
Let them park the semis for a week, then see if they're out of diesel
Well,
fuel.
the trash, you won't even be able to pick up the trash, will you?
But there won't be none coming in, so I think it'll probably average out all right.
You're probably right on that.
Yeah. Copperhead,
Well, I don't know.
that dang Hemi, man. I'm gonna Google the fire out of that. I want to see what that's all about. That 6-cylinder Hemi. That's something that interests me.
I've heard about them, but I've never.
Yeah,
seen
that
them.
was good. Mate.
Yeah. No,
Like I said, there was one on the 32, but I didn't know enough about them, so I just got rid of it and bought that little 283 Chevs.
You said the bigger one had 3 carbs?
Yeah, well, in one of the Charger,
Okay.
which was a 2-door, it come out with triples on it. Yeah,
That
Yeah.
Charger's a good looking car.
Yeah,
Was
it
they
is.
known to be fast, or did anybody say much about them?
yeah. No, it was done. That was like it come out on an RT Charger, which was like the souped up thing, like.
Yeah, we had RTs here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But they never did put. Well, I don't know on an RT if they ever put a 6-cylinder, but I guess there may be somebody ordered one.
Well, down there, that's what they had. Y'all didn't have. I mean, 440s. Y'all have big blocks in Australia, big blocks 440s and all that kind of stuff.
No, they come out with the Valiants had a 318, a 340, and a 360. I don't think they had any big blocks. Not that if they did their rare as. I don't think they had any.
Now that 340 is my choice. I love a 340.
That's the Charger. Yeah, that's the RT
Yeah,
Charger.
that's a good looking car.
What are they running right now, as far as price wise?
Oh, you don't want to know. More than we can afford. For an RT, you're probably looking at 250 grand or something.
Good lord.
Like
The
the
price
old
is
Falcon
stupid.
XBs
You
and
can't buy
stuff.
nothing. That's why, like, I come to America, I'll have so much fun. There was just the old shit boxes are now worth 10 grand over here. Like,
Well,
there's
Come
nothing
over
cheap.
here. I got a junkyard full of stuff.
Well, I've got an imagination. Don't worry.
It's
To make weird stuff.
Really, we're the stuff that we used to buy for $1,500 to $2,500 is all 10 grand now.
Oh, yeah.
You're really not finding anything. I mean, when back in the 90s and even into the early 2000s, I always knew where there was a half a dozen cars you could buy for $1,500 to $2,500 that with a tune-up or a brake job, they were road ready.
Right.
Now those same cars are $7,500 to 10 grand and up. They're and the stuff that nobody looked at before, the Disco Novas, the big bumper cars of the 70s. People are starting to look at that stuff now. Where it was
Well, what's that worth over there? 940
probably $3 grand. Is that a 2-door or 4-door?
4-door.
4-door.
4-door in that condition, probably $2,500 to $3,500 as a 4-door. If it was a 2-door
Okay.
coupe,
10
or
grand.
even a sedan, it would probably be worth. My buddy had a 2-door 40 Plymouth, Pontiac.
That's no
Yeah.
motor. No motor or box.
Yeah, his was not running, but it was a complete solid car, and he was asking, I think, $5 grand for it, $5,500.
The
But
big
How much
thing-
did you pay for that one?
Okay.
How much is the one
Me?
you have sitting there?
I don't. I've got it advertised for 10 grand.
Wow.
oh, really?
I think, you know,
So really, if you count for like,
the exchange rate on the money from Australia to America, of course, y'all are on the metric system. You don't go by gallons, but it'd be easier if you said, well, that thing was worth 55 gallons of gas, or, but say they keep us confused like
Yeah.
that.
well, your
because,
exchange, that's what I was gonna say with the exchange rate. Your 10 grand Australian is probably what's the exchange rate? It was probably $6,000 US.
That's probably what it is.
Yeah, but the guy in Australia
yeah,
still has to come up with 10 grand.
Yeah, that's true.
$6,000 US. would be.
Okay, yeah, so that'd be on the high side. You'd have a hard time selling it over here for that price. You know, no motor.
See, the American. So this is American. American stuff hasn't skyrocketed like the Australian cars. If this was an Australian 1940s car,
Yeah.
this would be 20 grand in this condition,
Wow.
minimum.
Oh.
No kidding. Wow.
The Australian stuff is gone absolutely. I can't. That's why I don't put any of it on the channel because I can't afford them.
Right.
Like
It's probably because
ridiculous.
they don't even build cars there, I reckon. Where they
Yeah, I don't
even
know
build-
what's happened. It's pretty much when Holden's sharp, but now we don't. Which is when the car market stopped. All the Aussie stuff went absolutely through the roof.
I
Yeah.
bet. If you wanted to have an Australian
Boy,
car, you got to buy an old one now.
I really think that's a national security risk to any country when you have to depend on someone else to make
Yeah,
something.
it's
It's a
ridiculous.
huge national security risk to me.
We used to
Yeah.
make everything here, everything,
Yep.
and now
Yeah.
we don't make anything basically.
Yeah, that's a
Now,
shame.
Copperhead, I remember back a few years ago, there was a couple of guys in Cuba. They took a 63 Chevy Impala and they put floats under that thing and they put paddles on the rear
That's
wheels.
right. Yeah.
And they drove that thing to America. So that's what you need to be building. Take with that 40 Chevrolet and put your motor, put some paddle wheels on that thing and come to America, baby.
Yeah, take a little bit. Come on
We'll
over.
pick you up at the beach. We'll pick you up at the beach.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
they
good
only
idea.
had to go 90 miles. Good gosh, he's going to have to go.
All the miles.
Yeah. Good Lord. You know, that's going to be 3/4 of the way around. He's got to go north for thousands of miles and then go.
Take a left.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, but them guys, when they come over here, if I'd have been in charge, I'd say, look, they're staying. I don't care if they're illegal or not. If they're smart enough to do that, they're going to work at Benny Sanitation, Arnold, or me.
I think the Cubans can get into America pretty easily because Carter left a loophole for them to come here.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know. If they're
Well,
smart
they
enough
can
to
travel
come
with
here,
it's
Cuba
real
now,
easy
too.
for them to.
Bring Sylvia Impala across the Atlantic Ocean and get here.
Yeah.
I'd say let them stay.
There was people I can remember as a kid down in Florida. There was people that had bought boats and stuff and paid for them in no time at all. When Carter was in office, they was going down there and getting Cuban refugees, you know, and they would pay them to get them to the U.S. And so they paid for some big boats real quick, you know, getting the Cubans because Carter left the door open for them to be citizens, to make citizenship pretty easy. And, you know, that's why so many of them's in Miami. Of course, most of them's all very well educated because that was one of the things that Castro did was he's real big on education down there. And they all come here. They're well educated when they get here.
But they don't want to go north of Orlando because it's too cold.
Yeah, I don't blame them for that.
Right. But I don't know if they're still can get right into America now. If Carter made that permanent or how the deal is now.
Well, we can go to Cuba now. Americans can travel to Cuba. I know that.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's coming in with a political asylum, then that's the political asylum exemption. People can do
Yeah.
that.
But them people down there are really, really smart. They've kept 55 Chevys on the road. You know, they don't never
Oh, yeah.
throw nothing away down there.
With the Zuzu
Yeah,
diesels in
gotta
them
keep-
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, using boat motors and little diesels and everything they can to just keep it going.
It ain't 8,365 kilometers over here, man. How big a tank would you need?
That's like in miles. That's like 65 miles.
Hey, have you guys seen? I can't think of his name. A YouTube channel. The guy takes like motorcycles and drives from like Alaska to the end of South America.
Yeah.
He bought one of those little Japanese military Jeep. You know, they got an 8-horse Briggs & Stratton engine in them. And this guy's driving it from Salt Lake City, Utah to Moab on YouTube right now at 12 miles an hour. And if you've ever been in Utah, That's like driving through the center of Australia. There ain't nothing out there. It's hilarious videos to watch this guy. I wish I could think of his name, but he does goofy. He takes motorcycle trips all over the world. But now he did it in a little China-built military Jeep that's as big as like one of those Power Wheels. And he's driving that thing 1,100 miles through Utah.
Oh, boy.
So I stumbled across it. I love the guy's channel. I just found it. But yeah, that guy's hardcore, man. He's the guy that would go from Australia to there in a boat or with paddling, you know.
Not me.
No.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question. You know how on the 28, the tub, I don't know, is that what you like, the body? So I got to do the door cards, which I'm wrapping in that croc leather. Should I do them in metal, or should I do them in like a melamine sort of type plywood type stuff?
Well, I used my door panels and my willies are like Luan plywood, and a lot
What's
of the
that?
other
Is that like white? Is it here? This stuff here, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like a particle body type. White on one side. And,
yeah, it's only a couple millimeters thick.
yeah, this stuff's probably 4 mil. So nearly a quarter of an inch.
Yeah. Now the one thing to consider is that being an open door, open roof car, you might want to use something that won't absorb the water.
Yeah.
You know, so if you used, I don't know what, like my interior pieces, I pulled all the tan out and reused the base material. It was like a thick plastic that was pretty easy to cut and work with. So I don't know, it must be interior shops use it all the time. But what's nice about that is if it gets wet, it's not going to absorb water. It's not going to distort, you know.
No.
The plywood, of course, will, unless you use like a marine grade. But
The plastic you wouldn't have to worry about the heat though in the plastic. How hot does it get down there in Australia?
Yeah, hot.
It wouldn't get that hot.
it wouldn't be any different than our hottest days. I think 100,
Nah.
100 degrees, something, you know. So
Yeah, that's
it's
same.
then like I haven't had anything in the Willys, and that's a black car, and that, you know, if that sits out in the sun, then it gets real hot inside. But what I did with that is I used this spray glue. I don't know if I have a picture of it here. I used the spray glue, and I put down a thin foam first, and then I stretched the vinyl over it. And when I stretched it over, I just used real short staples. I glued it and stapled it along the backside. And
Yeah.
Is that the
Yeah,
you've done?
like a spray on
I
adhesive.
use that brand, but I used Loctite brand actually. Let me see if I got a picture. I can show you how I did the interior. I found it worked pretty good. You know, that was the first time I did like a full on interior. And let's see if you can see I did the headliner and everything.
Okay. So that's all done with like that same sort of wood, yeah?
I got sheets of that wood here. It's really gonna, the water doesn't bother it.
No?
No. I mean, it's,
Luan, yeah, well, that's the fiberboard. That stuff will, if that's the fiberboard, then that'll absorb it. It's basically the plastic that was used was kind of like the same stuff you would use in like a tub and tile, I think. But
Okay.
I thought the Luan plywood, the thin plywood, was easier to work with because it was easier to staple to.
Yeah.
That's what I do in all the vans, the van
There you go.
interiors that I do. is
It's
I
gonna be
use that-
outside though. It's not a top. There's no
Yeah,
top.
this has got no top is the only
But
thing.
being outside, I guess if you seal the plywood first, you shouldn't have a problem. You know, what I mean,
Oh,
the
no.
60s American cars were just basically compressed cardboard, but they put a plastic
Yeah.
paper barrier between the
Well, now, do you have
inner door and
plastic?
the panel.
I think I'd rather go plastic and do the same thing. Wrap the plastic.
Or do I
in.
just get it and make it out of thin metal? Like, so I've done the floor and stuff and the panels are done out of 1.2 mil. So I think that's equivalent to 18 gauge or something.
yeah.
Probably.
So do I
That's
just
what
go
I
to
do.
like a 0.9 mil, which I don't know, which is thinner? Does it go up for thinner in gauge?
Yeah,
gauge,
the numbers are thinner the metal. So like 20 gauge is thinner than 18 gauge. 18
Yeah,
is-
so I think so 20. So I rated like just a 20 gauge and just do it out of that in metal. But then
that would work, and you could still, like, my door panels that are in my rat rod, they're the factory steel door panels, and I did the same thing. I glued spray foam to it, and then wrap vinyl around it and just use the glue. You know, and they haven't.
That's
come
what I was going
loose
to
yet.
do. I was just going to wrap the leather on and glue the leather to whatever I do, and then just screw them on.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you
I
go.
would
You,
do
if
that.
you use a good stock, like either 3M or Loctite, it makes a good spray adhesive.
Yeah.
You know, just spray it down and wrap it, and especially since once you wrap it, use clothespins to hold it on the backside until the glue really cures. And if you're screwing it down anyway, once it's pinched down, it's not going to go anywhere, even if the
No.
glue fails. You know.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go cardboard with no top on it. I think that'd come all
Yeah.
to pieces on you in just a short period of time. Especially
Yeah.
if you know it gets water, that plywood just soaks it up, man, and separates.
Yeah,
Because I'm probably going to make some sort of. I mean, I'm going to make a roof, but I'm probably going to make like a little tarp-y type, press stud cover. But it's still it's not going to be sealed up properly.
Right.
I always try to make everything as weather resistant as possible.
Mm.
Yeah, if as long as you're sealing the panel in, you know, whether it's if you're doing it out of aluminum, you wouldn't even have to paint it. Then you can
Or
just
that's
wrap
the other. Or so if I do it out of metal, do I just do it out of Do I just buy some thin aluminium sheet and do it?
Yeah, the nice thing about that, it would save weight too. You know, keep your weight down a little bit, and then you don't have to paint it or anything. You just wrap
I've probably nearly got enough aluminium sheet from the freaking race cars.
That's
That's what
nice.
I'd use. That'd be
That's a
easy
nice
to work
gauge,
with.
man. That race car aluminum is like a real nice gauge to use for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got heaps of that kicking around. I think I've probably got enough nearly.
Yeah.
Y'all fellas, I got to run. Y'all have a good evening. I've got to go. I'll see you.
Well, your mama not let. Well,
Yeah,
uh-oh.
you know how it is. We'll see you.
See you later.
See ya.
Yeah, it's there's really a lot of options when it comes to interior stuff. It's nice you already got the material. You just got to figure out what you want to put the material around. You know.
Easier the better is what I say.
Yeah, I'd say if you got the aluminum, that's what to use. Keep the money.
Yeah,
Except the aluminum,
It's only
you get that in the
60
sun, it's hot if you lean against it.
Yeah, but if it's wrapped and
Are we wrapping it in leather?
Oh, if you're wrapping it, okay.
so that would be fine.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of guys here that'll do full sheet metal interiors and they'll do all aluminum interiors and don't put any fabric on them in the race cars and street cars. You know, if they're doing a pro street car with a lot of roll cage work, they'll do, you know, just aluminum door panels and stuff. Roll.
Oh, I want to do that on something and show some do some weird little patterns with that bead roller. But yeah, this one's getting that croc interior, so I want to line it all with croc leather. So.
And that
I tell you,
metal,
the
without
hottest
lighting
car-
air, it gets hot, man.
The
Hey,
hottest
speak-
car I've ever been in. I did a photo shoot on a 48 Austin, little drag car, and the car was badass. It was bare metal. The father and son did the metal work on it, and the car was actually in a fire and warped real bad. And they hammered it all flat again, and they clear coated the car, and you couldn't see anywhere they did any metal work on it, but it was clear coated. And then he caged it. It had a big block with I think it had, if I remember, it had it did. It had stack injection, and the short little wheelbase car ran like 10 flat to 990s. But I did a photo shoot on it up at Bowling Green, Kentucky during the Hot Rod reunion, and it was like god awful. It was 100 degrees, and it was like 108 with the heat index, and people were hauling people out in ambulances and everything, and went to do the photo shoot, and I hopped in the car and was like, man, I was burning myself just getting in the car to go. You know, we got out, and anywhere you touched from that thing sitting in the sun was just brutal hot.
Now, John, I want to ask you a question. You know, talking about this photo shoot. Did you get up on the top of that thing on the hood with your Speedo and pose all sexy like? Is that what you're talking about, photo shoot?
I hit on the other side of the camera.
You're talking about, oh, you got in the car. And I thought, oh, Lord.
In his song.
We got to drive it down to where we're going to do the shoot. And,
Hey, speaking
rather
of
than
things
walk,
for
he's like,
John,
"It's too hot, let's just drive the car." I said, "All right."
speaking of things for John, I got to call John out on something.
Uh-oh.
Saturday, when I saw you leave, what did I see on your car? I was just,
Wire wheel hubcaps,
no, worse.
skirts.
Skirts. You
That's
put
my
the
wife
skirts
liked it
on.
I put it when I put the wire wheel hubcaps on. I stuck the skirts back on. Let's see what it looks like. And I don't know, man. I think I
like the skirts.
What's that?
I like them.
Oh,
like
I
it?
hate skirts.
My dad likes them. My wife likes them.
That Thunderbird looks good with them on it.
You think so? I think it looks lighter and sportier without them.
Yes.
But
Looks
it's,
more aggressive without them.
I think so. Yeah. But I got to find a good set of wheels for that car. the tires are found the date code on the tires are 1983, or no, I'm sorry, 1982. So they're 40-year-old tires.
And you made it to Blairsville, okay?
They don't even shake, man. It's the weirdest thing. There's no dry rot in them. I put air in them. I haven't had to put any more air in them, and
Yeah, they were made back when they were made out of rubber.
they're just good old American-made USA tires, man. And they
Yeah.
just they don't have white walls anymore. They're tan walls now.
Yeah.
Did the drive go
I can't
okay?
get them any cleaner than that. What's that?
Did your drive go okay? When you went out to Blairsville?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep, that was my second time down to Blairsville with it, and it's my
Sweet.
rear main seal's leaking pretty good. So, has anybody? Speaking of that, has anybody used that snake oil that you put in to stop the rear main seal from leaking?
No, that stuff don't work.
I
I don't care
didn't
what
think
they
it would.
say.
I didn't think it was going to work at all, and I was.
That stuff ain't gonna work.
I don't feel like changing the seal right now. So,
Hey, Lord, we've been on here about an hour and a half. We said we was gonna try to keep it down to an hour, so
yeah.
we're gonna do it again next week.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah, I
good.
just had
man. Are
a
we gonna do
flying
the
monkey or
five o'clock?
something hit my shop, so I gotta go see what it is anyway.
It might be your
All right,
wife finding that helicopter in the backyard.
All right, well, I'm gonna go, guys.
All right, man. We'll
Yeah,
talk
same
to y'all
here.
next week, man.
We'll see you.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll see you
same
guys.
time, same place. Y'all be good.
All right.